What I'm talking about is commonly referred to as pest snails. Snail species such as pond bladder, ram's horn, and Malaysian trumpet snails are all considered pest snails because they reproduce easily and may often appear suddenly. And if you're a beginner or you're thinking about starting an aquarium for the first time, you should start with snails. In this video, my goal is to deter you away from the idea that these snails are considered a pest and explain why they're beneficial and actually help you. Here's what you need to know about snails. Number 1, snails will clean your tank for you. Snails will eat the leftover uneaten fish food in your aquarium so it doesn't sit there and rot in your water. Snails will eat the algae that grows on your rocks and glass. If a fish dies in your aquarium, the snails will eat that fish so it doesn't start decomposing in your water. Imagine you have just an aquarium with no snails. Every time you feed your fish and the leftover fish food stays there, it will remain there, rotting until you physically remove it by doing a water change. Snails are a natural set and forget solution. You don't have to worry about them at all. They will just passively benefit and clean your aquarium. Start thinking of your aquarium as an ecosystem, and the snails serve as a cleanup crew. They are going to help maintain your tank. Number 2. Snails are not going to overrun your tank. Don't get caught up in the misconception that snails are a bad sign and then spend your time trying to eradicate them. The snail population is going to balance itself based on the amount of food available. Remember, they're the cleanup crew. The more leftover uneaten fish food in your aquarium, the more the snails will eat. So if you think that you have too many snails, you need to feed less. And if you want lots of snails, you feed more. Do not be apprehensive about adding snails because you're trying to avoid an outbreak. The snails will regulate their population based on your input. If you're liking this video so far, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Number 3, think of snails as an indicator species for your tank's health. If you see a sudden explosion in snails and you had snails for a while, that indicates overfeeding. If you notice the snail shells start eroding or going translucent, it could indicate a change in your water parameters, such as low calcium or too acidic pH. If usually the snails are everywhere equally dispersed in your aquarium and one day you notice they start to climb to the surface, it can indicate low oxygen levels and you should increase aeration. Number 4, snails are easier to keep than fish. Snails are easier to keep than shrimp. If you feel like you can't keep fish alive and they're always dying, or you're cycling a new aquarium and you don't want to shock the cycle, adding snails can be a great first step. Snails are still going to eat, produce waste, create ammonia fueling the nitrogen cycle in your aquarium, but they're way more hardier than fish and shrimp and are going to stay alive and reproduce much easier. Once you get going with the snails in your tank and your tank water parameters have stabilized and it's safe to add fish, you'll have a much easier time keeping those fish alive knowing you have the indicator species of snails already surviving. Number 5, snails can act as a food source for the fish inside of your aquarium. But wait, I am not saying that you don't have to feed your tank because there's snails in your tank. The thing is, if you don't feed your fish, they're going to resort to eating the other things that they can find around them. So this includes your shrimp, scuds, snails, algae, other smaller fish that can fit in their mouth. I've seen dwarf cichlids, betta fish, guppies even, eat snails or remove the snail from its shell and then eat it. However, this is opportunistically and this is every once in a while. The snails are not going to become the main food source for any of the fish in your aquarium. The fish are not going to keep the snail population in control. That is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that the snails will be incorporated into the larger ecosystem of your aquarium, the larger food web or food chain. This gives your fish another option that they could potentially feed from rather than just relying directly on you feeding your tank. However, I want to stress that the snails are not going to become a replacement for you feeding your fish. They're not going to become the sole food source for most aquarium fish. Unless you have an aquarium fish that is specifically designed to be eating snails, such as a pea puffer, just remember you're still going to have to feed your tank. However, I'm sure you will opportunistically find one of your fish munching on a snail every now and then just because they're bored, and it kind of gives them enrichment and a cool food source. If you don't have snails, you should know most times you'll get them for free. Often, they'll hitchhike their way into your aquarium through live plants or secondhand aquarium decor from other tanks with snails. Snail eggs are tiny and often clear or translucent and look like tiny white dots that you can often miss when you take these plants from one aquarium and move them into yours. Snails hatch and develop quickly. That's why people often think that they just suddenly appear in their tank one day. They are the best way, hands down, to add passive maintenance into your aquarium. They will make your life easier. You should get some snails. Leave a comment down below if you fully embrace snails in your aquarium or if you have gone down the path of trying to exterminate them. Additionally, if you like this video, the best way to show your support is by subscribing to my YouTube channel or interacting with this video by leaving a comment or a like. Once again, thank you so much for watching my YouTube video, and I will see you in the next one.